Music. Dear Mystic Philosophy, hello. Is fate a sentence written in heaven, or just a mirror for us to see ourselves? In the mysterious world of big, some people tremble in fear because they see it as a chain. But there are also people who use it as a door to enter the path to find freedom in their own destinies. Please join me in uncovering that mystery. Chapter 1. Unlocking the 8-word map of destiny. There is a principle that ancient people often mentioned. To understand yourself, you must first understand heaven and earth. Humans are not born as an empty force. The moment the first breath merges with the heavenly and earthly energies is the moment when the destiny map is engraved into one's identity. That moment was not accidental but was the resonance of heaven, earth, and humanity, creating a mark that will not be repeated a second time in the entire universe. That mark is the 8 characters. 8 characters open the door to the mysteries of heaven and earth. For Taoists, the 8 characters are not simply a method of divination or prediction. It is a map of destiny that God gives to each person. The 8 characters reveal the invisible but tight structure of fate, like a door opening to a mysterious treasure in the realm of nothingness. When ordinary people ask whether our destiny is good or bad, long life or short life, rich or poor, Taoists look at the 8 characters to find out how the convergence between yin and yang and the 5 elements in that person has shaped itself. The 8 characters include 4 pillars: year, month, day, and time of birth. Each pillar has 2 words, a heavenly stem and an earth branch. The 4 main 8 words seem simple, but they are the essence condensed from the operation of the sun, moon, stars, and climate of heaven and earth. Taoists believe that the 8 characters are proof of the resonance between the microcosm, which is humans, and the macrocosm, which is heaven and earth. In particular, the year of birth reflects the roots of destiny, the month of birth is the breathing rhythm of the weather and seasons, the date of birth is the root of the soul, and the hour of birth is the rhythm of movement of blood and energy in the body. These 4 pillars are like 4 pillars supporting a house, creating a solid structure for destiny. If just one pillar is tilted, the entire process of destiny will also tilt. Yin and Yang, 5 elements and 8 characters. The most magical point about Batu is that it is not based on a random number, but on the eternal law of yin and yang, and the 5 elements. And the moment we were born, what position was the sky in? At what angle does the sun shine? Is the moon full or waning? From what direction does the wind blow? Whether the ground under your feet is moist or dry, all are marked in the 8 characters. Yin and yang are the 2 poles of existence. In the 8 characters, the heavenly stem and the earthly branch both have yin and yang, interacting in an uninterrupted way. That yin and yang energy tree operates in cycles, never stopping. The 5 elements are the specific manifestation of that operation: metal, wood, water, fire, earth. When reading an 8-word character, Taoists not only see 8 words, but also see a whole field of energy rotating with each other and interaction. There are horoscopes that balance yin and yang in harmony. The 5 elements support each other like a smoothly flowing river, but there are also horoscopes where one element is too prosperous, another element is too weak, creating storms and waves. Understanding that, we can see that the 8 characters are not just a judgment, but the fire sound of heaven and earth, recorded in the form of destiny. 8 characters, a mirror that reflects life. People who do not understand Bachurs often think it is a bright rope tied, but to Taoists, Bachur is like a mirror. It is neither imposed nor mandatory but only reflective. Anyone who looks into that mirror will clearly see their roots, see their path clearly, and clearly see both the darkness and the light within themselves. For example, a person whose destiny is water-oriented but fire-weak is weak. His personality will certainly lean toward flexibility, but he will be easily indecisive and cold. If he doesn't know, he will let fate guide him. But if he knows, he can train, compensate, use the courage of fire to balance, thereby turning evil into good. The 8 characters are therefore a means to understand yourself, not a predetermined barrier. Understand to know what you need to add, what to take away, how to follow the flow, or play with your voice. There is a saying in Taoism that if you follow the sky, you will survive. If you go against the sky, you will die. The 8 characters are a way to recognize what is heaven and what is the path, from which you can choose a wise path for your life. 8 characters and human ethics. If a person learning the 8 characters only focuses on asking about rich, poor, high, or low, it is like looking at a great picture but only paying attention to a small corner. Catching is essentially the connection between the individual and the universe. It reminds us that we do not exist separately but are a piece of heaven and earth. Every 8 characters has deficiencies and biases. No one has absolutely perfect 8 characters. That is, similar to the principles of human life. Heaven and earth never give birth to perfect people, but always leave a void within them for them to make up for themselves. That gap is the driving force for growth. Baji therefore not only talks about destiny but also about each person's responsibility for their own life. Taoists believe that by knowing the fate of heaven, one can have peace of mind, and by knowing one's fate, one can establish virtue. People who are at peace with what God has given them know how to cultivate themselves, use virtue to correct their destiny, and use humanity to favor their destiny. Not only can they overcome dangers, but can also bring blessings to the world. The 8 characters are not just a number but a path. If we only look at the 8 characters as 8 cold words, it is only academic, but if we look at it with the eyes of the Tao, we will see that it is a symbol of endless operation. Those 8 words are the flow of time, the heartbeat of the universe. Reading Batu is also reading the Book of Heaven to see the invisible flow that we are flowing with them. Batu is the intersection of 3 paths: heavenly path, earthly path, humanity path. Heavenly path is the rotating air of heaven. The tunnel is the land of growth and nourishment. Humanity is human choice and action. When all 3 paths combine into one, we can understand that fate is not a prison but a path to wisdom. Baji is a chart of destiny, but at the same time is also an example for cultivation. It shows us who we are, where we are weak and strong, and what our biases are. It reminds us that heaven and earth have no mind, but humans can have a mind. Knowing the 8 characters is knowing the fulcrum to live according to the religion. If you live according to the religion, destiny becomes your companion, no longer a chain. The ancients once said, understanding one's destiny is to surpass one's destiny. 8 characters are the door that opens the mystery of heaven and earth, but it is up to each person to step through that door. Chapter 2. The 4 pillars of enlightenment are the foundation of the 8 characters. To build a sturdy castle, there must be 4 sturdy supporting pillars. If you want to understand the destiny of human life, you must also look at the 4 pillars called the 4 pillars. 4 pillars support all destinies. In the doctrine of the 8 characters, all inferences start from the 4 pillars: year, month, day, and time of birth. The ancients saw these as the 4 pillars that built the house of destiny. Whether a house stands firm or not, whether it has a fire or a tilt, depends on the coordination of these 4 pillars. Taoists call it the bone armor, because it is like a skeleton that supports the whole body. Without one, it cannot be formed. The 4 pillars are not only a record of the time of birth, but are the crystallization of celestial phenomena, earthly energy, causes, and the flow of time. Each pillar carries a different level of meaning, a different impact force, corresponding to heaven, earth, people, and time. When they resonate together, they form a map that shapes destiny, helping us see the root cause of destiny. Based on the year, the root is prone to destiny. The 5th pillar is the beginning, reflecting the destiny from ancestors, bloodline, and the roots from which a person was born. It is like tree roots embedded in the ground, providing initial nutrients for the tree trunk to grow. People with auspicious year pillars are often born in well-disciplined families and enjoy the blessings of their ancestors. On the contrary, if the male pillar is in conflict, the root is likely to give up peaches, easily encounter family discord, and an unfavorable starting context. Taoists consider the 5th pillar to be a symbol of heaven. Heaven cannot be chosen by anyone, just as parents and bloodlines cannot be changed. This is as determined as the land where we were born. But from that land, how can we nourish ourselves? Again depends on the remaining 3 pillars. The year pillar also reflects the social environment and historical context. People born in times of chaos often have horoscopes associated with strong conflicts and fluctuations. People born in peaceful times are more likely to have stability and peace. This shows that the year's theme is the imprint of heaven, earth, and times on people's lives. Pillar of the month and fortune of the land and crops. If the year pillar is heaven, then the month pillar is earth, because the month of birth reflects the season, climate, and flow of geomancy. The month's owner governs the rise and fall of the 5 elements in the 8 characters, One element prospers in spring but declines in winter. Therefore, the month column is considered key in predicting the strength and weakness of Nhat Nguyen. People with prosperous months are born in the right season. Just like plants planted in the right weather will grow strongly. On the contrary, those born out of season are like flowers blooming in the cold wind, often having to endure many harsh conditions. But Taoists believe that it is adversity that strengthens character, so the month column both reflects natural advantages and reveals challenges that need to be overcome. The month's owner is also closely related to parents, the nurturing environment in childhood, and the way a child is nurtured. If the month's owner is harmonious, parents are usually able to take care of and fully raise them. If the month is harsh, it is easy to face difficulties and deprivation in childhood. But that lack can become a strong internal force when you grow up, if you know how to follow the religion and transform.
Stay at the center of your destiny.
Of the 4 pillars, the day pillar is the center of gravity and is called the sun pillar, because in it there is the sun stem, which is the sun's source, that is, the body that represents that person himself.
All word guessing uses Nhat Nguyen as the base.
The sun stem shows the personality, bravery, and soul-like nature of the entire solar horoscope, the earth branch of the date of birth, which reflects the spouse, marriage, and family when he or she becomes an adult. Therefore, the day pillar is both about the ego and about the basic relationship with the companion. Taoists look at the day to clearly see humanity. There are Japanese people who are courageous, confident, tough, easy to become leaders, but also easily arrogant. There are Japanese people who are courageous, humble, supple, adaptable, but also easily swayed by others. From there, discuss how to supplement or moderate it to achieve balance. The owner of the day therefore symbolizes humanity. Humanity is the essence, the choice, and the way of life of each individual. The year and month may be fixed, but the day is where personal will can manifest most clearly. People who understand their natural origin understand how to promote their strengths and overcome their weaknesses, thereby being more proactive in their life journey. The hour is the circuit of the time and future. If the year pillar is heaven, the month pillar is earth, the day pillar is cause, then the hour pillar is time. The hour column reflects the future path, adult career, children, and the final results of one's life.
The hour of birth is like the final heartbeat of the moment of birth.
It shows the most subtle flow of energy that affects human life. People with a strong foundation often return safely, have happy children and grandchildren, and have a stable career. People with conflicting hours often have a fluctuating destiny, and are likely to experience challenges when entering middle age and make mistakes. The hour pillar is also related to thinking and aspirations. It represents the path a person is aiming for, the ideal he or she pursues. Some people live their lives and focus on wealth, pursuing wealth all their lives, while others focus on officialdom and position. Some people turn to mud, love knowledge, art, and spirituality. Therefore, the hour pillar is a mirror, reflecting the deep desire in the hearts of the 4 pillars, for the coordination of heaven and earth and time. The magic of Batuka does not lie in each individual pillar, but in the coordination between all 4. Year is heaven, month is earth, day is cause, hour is time. The 4 pillars connect into a full circle, creating a destiny map. If the year and month are favorable, and the original roots and environment are solid, then the day and time can be easily promoted. If the years are difficult, but the days and hours are stable, then that person has the ability to successfully overcome adversity and become independent. If all 4 are of the sea and fire, then fate flows smoothly, like a river flowing downstream. But if the 4 pillars are in complex conflict, life often has many ups and downs, requiring great virtue and wisdom to resolve. Taoists often compare the 4 pillars to the 4 sides of a mountain.
Looking at one side, you cannot see the whole scene. You must combine all 4 to see the mountain's shape. Each pillar is like a door that opens a secret part of destiny. When all 4 doors open together, Huyan County clearly shows the meaning of cultivation in the 4 pillars. The important thing that Taoists emphasize is that the 4 pillars are not to be determined, but to be suggested. Seeing the roots in the 5th pillar means being grateful and preserving the blessings of ancestors. Seeing the environment at the month pillar, appreciating the situation, and learning to adapt. Seeing yourself in the daily life, practice virtue and develop your strengths.
seeing future destiny in the sky, cultivating ideals, and sowing good seeds for the future. People who understand the four pillars and know how to cultivate will turn destiny into a companion. People who do not understand and only complain about their fate turn the four pillars into chains. Taoists advise that fate is the skeleton, and virtue is the flesh and blood. No matter how hard the bones are, if the blood and flesh are fresh, the body will still be healthy. On the contrary, if the bones are good, if morality fails, the body will not be able to stand. The four armored pillars are the foundation of Bhaktu, the four pillars that support the whole destiny. Each pillar has a meaning. Year is heaven, month is earth, day is cause, hour is time. When we see those four pillars clearly, we not only see fate, but also see the morality to live according to heaven, in harmony with earth, to maintain humanity, and to follow the times. To understand the 8 characters, you must first stand firmly on these 4 pillars, because without a foundation, a building cannot be built high, and without a skeleton, the body cannot function. The 4 pillars are the root, the core, and the first key to open the mystery of destiny. Chapter 3. Heavenly Stem and Earth Branch. Eternal Pair. The universe does not speak in words, but each rhythm of its operation is endless music, where the heavenly stem and the earth branch go together like wings connecting heaven and earth. A wreath opens for 60 years of immortality. To enter the mystery of Batu Kwa, students cannot ignore this eternal pair, because they are the heartbeat of heaven and earth. The red thread connecting yin and yang, the invisible rhythm measuring stick that humans must follow forever. The origin of the heavenly and earthly branches.
In the ancient Oriental tradition, the ancients observed that all phenomena follow a cycle. Day after day the moon is full and then waning, the 4 seasons change, rain and sun follow each other. From there, the celestial stem and earth branch were invented to record, classify and predict the operation of heaven and earth. Tianqian consists of 10 symbols carrying the temperament of the 5 elements of yin and yang. The address includes 12 symbols corresponding to the operating cycle of the sun and moon, which is also the heartbeat of the 4 seasons. When combined together, the 10 revolving canes with the 12 branches of the 6th harmonic zodiac sign mean 60 pairs of combinations, each pair symbolizing a complete rhythm of operation of heaven and earth. The ancients considered it a large unit of time, as well as a breathing cycle of the universe. All things arise, decline, then arise again, cyclically. The heavenly stem is a delicate flow of air. The nature of the heavenly stem is the subtle breath that is invisible, but can control all things. The 10 cans are divided equally into the yin and yang of the 5 elements. Earth belongs to wood. Bin Din belongs to fire. Mao Ky belongs to earth. Kan Tan belongs to metal. Nahum Kwe belongs to water. The armor is yang wood. The statue is like a big tree with a broom. It has the power to reach out and open up. The yin wood is yin wood, soft like grass and flowers, flexible but also persistent. Bing is yang and harmony, shining like the sun, illuminating all things. Ding is a harmonious sound like a lamp, like embers, dull but persistent. Mao is the yang earth, solid as a mountain, protective and tolerant. Ky is the yin earth like soft field soil, nurturing and embracing. Kan is yang metal, hard as steel, sharp and strong. Tan is yin and metal like delicate jewelry, both soft and bright. Nenham is the ocean water like a big river and the sea, rolling continuously. Kwe is yin water like mist, like raindrops that gradually absorb and transform. The 10 organs are the 10 fundamental energy streams that create the invisible structure of human life. In the bowl of self-canvas, it represents the obvious, the surface, the aura that appears on the outside. The 12 repositories of heaven and earth. If the heavenly stem is air, then the earth branches form. The 12 branches are the 12 stores where Kira condenses into form. They correspond to the 12 familiar zodiac animals, and also reflect the cycle of 4 seasons. The little water tank is the beginning of the winter solstice, symbolizing the hidden germ of life. The ox contains earth that is cold and crystallized, preparing for vitality. Tiger contains wood is the time when spring energy emerges and all things stretch out. Malmodak is a luxuriant tree with blooming flowers and leaves. Earth dragon is the dragon energy that operates at the intersection of heaven and earth. The snake is when the sunlight begins to shine brightly and the heat spreads. Noon harmonizes with the peak of positive energy. The sun stands in shadow. The smell of earth accumulates in preparation for the change of seasons. The metal and metal body gradually prospers and results are revealed. The golden rooster has solid essences during its maturity. The earth dog, the earth elephant, transmits and holds the foundation. The water pig begins a new cycle of hidden potential. The opening of the comedy Qi not only records the time, but also reflects the terrain, direction, and climate. The 8 characters represent the root, the foundation of one's destiny, the foundation hidden deep within. The combination of liver and Qi is endless. When the liver and limbs combine, they do not simply combine names, but are a fusion of energy and form and reason, movement and stillness. Each year, each month, each day, each hour has a branch and a branch, creating a separate symbol. Just keep rotating. 10 cans complete 1 round, 12 limbs complete 1 round. Until the 60th combination, both return to the starting point. The 60 zodiac flowers are like 60 beats of the universe's heart. Each beat has its own flavor and temperament. The ancients did not consider this only a way to calculate years and months, but also considered it a cycle of life. Every human life, from birth to death, operates in this rhythm. Yin and yang in the liver. The body is not separate from yin and yang. The liver has 5 pairs of yin and yang, and the limbs have 6 pairs of yin and yang. The rotation ensures that the wreath is always balanced. For example, a little border is a start. Duong Momat pairs with Tian Tui, both opening and hiding a new vitality. Ding Mui is the yin fire combined with earth, expressing the warmth and gentle fire between summer and autumn. The yin and yang in the liver is not just a theory, but reflects the reality of heaven and earth. When yin and yang weaken, the climate changes. Plants, animals, and people are all affected. Therefore, to understand the body is to read the rhythm of yin and yang breathing, the 5 elements, and the body Qi. The 5 elements are the theoretical framework. The can Qi is the form of operation. There are no 5 elements. It's just a symbol. Without the elements, the 5 elements are just abstract concepts. In each liver and limb are hidden the 5 elements, and when combined, they produce countless changes. When learning the 8 characters, when looking at the body, not only at the name but must clearly understand the elements inside. One word contains wood, but contains fire. One word contains metal, but also contains water. Thanks to this multi-layered nature, destiny is not monotonous, and is always alive like nature itself. Application in 8 characters. Among the 4 pillars and 8 characters, each pillar has a branch. The year pillar is the ancestors. The month pillar is parents and environment. The day pillar is yourself. The hour pillar is descendants and future destiny. Can express on the outside, just keep the root easy. People who read destiny must analyze the body and mind to see the whole picture. For example, a person born on the day of the sun and metal shows outwardly a strong and principled nature, but the sun contains wood inside, which has the nature of creation and cause. Thanks to that person is not simply dry but also has a flexible side. This is an example of how the body and mind combine to create diverse personalities. Border flowers and the flow of history. The 60 zodiac flowers are not only applied in human life, but also used to record history. Chinese dynasties often recorded their years with kan qi, such as the year of Ti and the year of Mao Than. Just like that, the entire flow of history moves in a garland, proving that the universe and humanity are in sync. Learners who study history with kan qi will see that there are cycles of rise and fall that repeat many great events. Natural disasters and wars often correspond to intersection points in the horoscope. This further shows that the stem is not only a tool but also the law of operation, the heavenly stem, and the earthly stem in life. Not limited to destiny, kan. Vietnamese and Chinese people all use kan qi to call age, tell time and date, marry husband and wife, build houses and temples. The names Mao Than Giap Tuat and Din Ho. I not only remember the year of birth, but also mark each person's temperament. In life, choosing a good or bad day also depends on the event, such as weddings, grand openings, groundbreakings, and funerals. Everyone looks to the calendar to pray for harmony with heaven and earth.
This is proof that what is involved is not an empty theory but a living practice, the eternity of the pair. Heaven and earth exist side by side. Neither is lacking. One side is air, one side is form, one side is yang, one side is yin, one side is heaven, one side is earth.
Their combination is a reflection of the basic principle.
Heaven and earth unite, yin and yang alternate, the five elements interact. Therefore, this pair is eternal not because it was created by humans, but because it accurately reflects the natural rhythm of operation. Humans are only discoverers and applicators, and Kan itself has existed since the beginning of time, with endless rhythm. The 60 zodiac flowers complete a cycle, but then continue without stopping. Just like day follows night, season follows season, the end of one beat is the beginning of another. Thanks to that, the universe operates endlessly, without stopping. If people understand and follow this rhythm, they will know when to advance, when to retreat, when to hide, when to appear. That is the reversal of the 8 characters, using the understanding of the liver to follow the heavens, thereby living in harmony, reducing conflicts, and increasing benefits. Philosophical symbol in Kan Chi. Heavenly Qian and earthly branches are not only for calculation but also have philosophical meaning. They teach us that everything has 2 sides, appearance and root, energy and form, positive and negative. If you want to see comprehensively, you can't just look at the body and ignore everything, nor can you just look at the body and ignore the gut. This is also a reminder of a comprehensive view of life. The stature in fortune-telling, in the prediction system, from the 8 characters in the purple jar to the KY Mon and the 6 NYMS, all rely on the liver chi as the foundation. Without anything to do, you can't make a plan, you can't decide a situation. Therefore, Eastern scholarship takes the Kan Chi as its backbone, just like the letters in a language are the starting point for all analysis.
Kan Chi and the path of cultivation. In addition to practical application, cultivators can use the liver chi to illuminate the mind. The liver is expressed outwardly, the liver chi is kept in the root. People are the same, everyone has an external self and an internal self. If you want to cultivate, you don't have to edit your manifestations, but you have to go back to the easy roots, just like you have to consider both the liver and the limbs. Understanding the body, people will realize that they are no different from all things. They are all in a wreath, and they are all governed by the yin and yang of the 5 elements. Knowing that, we will be less arrogant, less resentful, and follow nature. The eternal pair of heavenly stem and earth branch is the classical music of the universe. 60 flowers are an endless song. If a person who learns 8 characters masters this rhythm, it is like having a key to open a mysterious treasure. It is not only a science of prediction, but also a philosophical path that leads us to live in harmony with heaven and earth in the rhythm of infinity. Chapter 4. Yin and Yang in the bowl are in invisible balance. Yin and Yang are not 2 separate concepts, but 2 invisible flows that create the life rhythm of the universe, and are also underground circuits operating in each 8-character chart. When balanced, they bring peace. When they are out of phase, they open up upheavals, challenges, and even sufferings. Therefore, Taoists consider understanding the yin and yang in the 8 characters as grasping the key to understanding human life, because it is here that the secret of life, death and prosperity and decline is hidden. The origin of yin and yang in Taoist thought. Yin and yang is not just an abstract theory, but a true reflection from natural observation. Night and day, cold and hot, still and moving, soft and hard. All are polar opposites of yin and yang. Taoists realize that everything that exists is driven by these 2 forces. In the 8 characters, yin and yang are the living souls of the heavenly and earthly branches. The liver is divided into 5 pairs of yin and yang, and the limbs are also divided into yin and yang alternately. The entire 8-character system operates according to that principle, like a piece of music with a sometimes low and sometimes high melody, creating both harmony and conflict. Yin and yang in the heavenly stem. The 10 heavenly stems are divided into 5 pairs of yin and yang. Giap is yang wood. At is yin wood. Bing is yang fire. Ding is yin fire. Mao is yang earth. Qi is yin earth. Chan is yang metal. Tan is yin metal. Nham is yang water. And quarter is yin water. This structure not only ensures balance, but also reflects the principle of birth resistance. Yang is often revealed, yin is often hidden, yang often arises, and yin is often received. People with positive heavenly stems on Sunday often have an extroverted, strong, and fierce personality. On the contrary, people with the sun main yin are often inclined to be introspective and flexible. However, too much yang can easily be rigid, too yin can easily be weak. Balance is the way, imbalance is the source of suffering. Yin and yang in the earth branch. The 12 earth branches are also divided into yin and yang. Ti, Dao, Thin, Ngo, Than, and Dog belong to yang. Ox, cat, snake, goat, rooster, and pig belong to yin. When arranged, they are placed alternately, forming an endless cycle. This reflects that in the operation of heaven and earth, yin and yang always take turns holding positions. No one side has absolute dominance. The earth branch has an easy origin, so the yin and yang bias here has a more lasting and profound effect than the heavenly stem. For example, people with many yang branches often have a straightforward, strong temperament but sometimes lack sophistication. People with many confidants are discreet, profound, but sometimes indecisive. Yin and yang in the 4 pillars. Each pillar in the 8 characters has liver and qi, meaning they all contain yin and yang. When considering the 4 pillars, we will see that the overall fate is biased or balanced. If the 4 pillars are all positive, the destiny energy is likely to lean toward being harsh, impatient, and lacking in gentleness. If the 4 pillars are all negative, the elemental energy is likely to be cold, lacks resilience, and is difficult to erupt. In fact, it is rare to have a completely negative or completely positive number. However, bias is often evident in a few key pillars. People who read their destiny must analyze carefully to know how they should regulate themselves, thus achieving balance. The fusion of yin and yang. Taoists do not consider yin and yang as enemies. On the contrary, they are 2 poles that depend on each other to exist. Daytime cannot last forever, because when the sun sets, night will come. On the contrary, the night cannot last forever because the sun will rise. It is this reciprocal transformation that creates the living flow of the universe. In Batu, the union of yin and yang is expressed in harmonious combinations. For example, a yang branch combined with a yin branch will create balance. A yin liver but supported by yang qi can also generate vitality. This is a subtle art that destiny readers need to grasp to see the rhythm of movement in each chart. Yin and yang bias and fluctuations in human life. The yin and yang bias in the 8 characters is often the main cause of major changes in life. If the yin is too strong, the person is often restrained. Many worries inside, difficult to reach out. If yang is too prosperous, they are easily impatient and encounter obstacles due to rigidity. For example, if a chart has many yang branches such as Gyap, Bing, Mao, Can, Netham, and more yang branches like Dan, Nugo, and Than, then the destiny energy is too positive. This person may be strong and decisive, but can also easily stumble due to lack of compliance. On the contrary, if the horoscope is too negative, the person is likely to be quiet and have few opportunities to display talent. Life turns sour more slowly. Principle of balance in 8 characters. The path of the 8 characters is not to seek to eliminate yin or yang, but to regulate to achieve balance. Just like in cuisine, a dish is delicious, not because it is completely sweet or completely spicy, but because it has just the right combination. In destiny, it is the same. When yin and yang harmonize, only good things will happen. And if yin and yang do not fire, they will inevitably encounter evil. When destiny readers see an imbalance in yin and yang, they need to advise their destiny to use actions, environment, career, and marriage to adjust. For example, people who are too yang can choose a yin career, such as research, art, or care. People who are too yin can choose yang careers, such as business, leadership, sports, yin and yang, and the 5 elements. Yin and yang cannot be separated from the 5 elements. Each element has a yin and a yang. Wood has yang and at yin. Disaster has bin duong and din yin. Earth has mao duong and ky am. Kim has kan duong and tan am. Thuli has en hiem duong and quay am. Thanks to this dichotomy, the 5 elements become flexible. In the 8 characters, the imbalance of yin and yang is often accompanied by an imbalance of the 5 elements. For example, a person who has many yang elements of the liver such as TAT, TII, and NHAM stem, but lacks yin elements, has a straightforward personality but is easily impulsive. At this time, the addition of the yin fire elements such as the snake will help regulate the philosophical symbol of yin and yang. The yin and yang in Batu is not only a prediction tool but also a reminder of human philosophy. Life is never absolutely bright or dark, it never rises or falls, everything is in a cycle of transformation. Understanding this, people will learn to follow nature, not forcing dogs, not complaining. Yin yang also teaches us about the art of living. When it's too hard, learn to be soft. When it's too soft, practice hardness. Thanks to that, we balance ourselves in the flow of life and apply it in daily life. Ancient people used yin and yang to choose dates and times, build houses, maintain health, and take medicine. Oriental medicine considers illness as a yin and yang bias in the body, so treating illness is restoring balance. In the 8 characters, the application is similar to seeing bias and finding ways to correct it. For example, people with a strong positive element should live in an environment with a lot of negative energy, near water, near trees, or choose a reasonable time to rest. People with a strong yin element should have a lot of exposure to sunlight, outdoor activities, and participate in the community. This is a combination of destiny and nutrition, very consistent with Taoist philosophy. Yin and yang in destiny, not only the original horoscope but also destiny, reflects yin and yang. When great fortune or longevity brings a lot of positive energy to people who are naturally prosperous, they are likely to encounter conflict and pressure. When fortune brings a lot of yin energy to people who are inherently yin, they easily fall into quietness and stagnation. People who understand morality will know how to accept fate with moderation. When yang comes too much, know how to step back, slow down, and stay calm. When the yin comes too much, know how to move forward, take action, find opportunities. This is the secret to neutralizing the danger in word capture, yin and yang and marriage. In destiny, yin and yang play a decisive role. Yang people are too strong, often compatible with people with a lot of yin to compensate. People with strong yin are often compatible with people with clear yang. This is also the principle that the ancients applied when determining age. A compatible marriage is not only about age compatibility, but also about the balance of yin and yang in personality and temperament. If both are yang, conflicts can easily arise in the family. If both are weak, the family easily lacks resilience. Balance is the lasting secret of yin and yang in self-cultivation. Taoists teach that cultivating is also learning how to balance yin and yang in the mind. When your mind is angry, calm it down with your breath and stillness. When your mind is depressed, that is, yin is strong, start with action, with small joys. People who know how to regulate yin and yang in their mind can also neutralize karma in their destiny. Yin and yang and Tao live according to nature. In ignorance, yin and yang are not for people to force, but for people to learn to obey. Like a river that sometimes flows fast and sometimes calms down, people just need to know when to act. That is the natural way of living. The 8 characters teach us that destiny is not immutable. Knowing the divine command of yin and yang, we can choose a suitable way of life to balance. Living like that, we will see that life is no longer a rigid destiny, but a flow that we can immerse ourselves in. Invisible balance. The yin and yang in the 8 characters is a deep secret. No one can grasp it, but everyone can feel it. It is like an invisible breath, like a silent heartbeat, both contradictory and unified, both polar opposites and compatible. To understand yang-yang is to see the key to destiny. Maintaining the balance of yin and yang means walking on the path of peace, overcoming fluctuations, and returning to the path. Chapter 5. The 5 elements of life overcome the veins of fate. In the entire universe, if yin and yang are 2 rotating poles, then the 5 elements are the blood vessels that nourish life and movement. Without the 5 elements, everything is just a lifeless void. The 5 elements are the breathing rhythm of the universe, the flow that causes everything to be born, grow, fight, then decline, and return to a new cycle. A person who studies the 8 elements without understanding the 5 elements of birth and resistance is like a person looking at a river but not understanding where the water flows. Why did the waves arise? The five elements are the foundation for predicting good and bad luck, because where biochemistry is in harmony, there is prosperity. Where extremes are restrained, there are fluctuations, and misfortunes come from there. Five elements, five musical notes of the universe. The ancients did not see the five elements as just five substances: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They consider the five elements as five principles and five forms of operating energy. Kim is crystallization, consolidation. Wood is the strength to rise, the growth. Water is flexibility, flow, and nourishment. Fire is explosion, enthusiasm, and brilliance. Earth is the center, fueling fire, transforming like five musical notes, creating an endless melody. These five elements blend together to create a picture of the transformation of heaven and earth. There is no rigid division. Each element contains the seed of another element, so that the evolution never stops. Principle of birth. Endless source of life, to it. In the 8 characters, the 5 elements are the blood vessels that circulate. Wood gives birth to fire because dry trees burn into fire. Fire gives birth to earth, which turns into earth. Earth gives birth to metal, and deep earth is refined into metal. Metal produces water. Metal meets extreme temperatures, secretes water. Water gives birth to wood, and water nourishes plants. This cycle represents the principle that all things support each other to coexist. If people born in the wood element are nourished, their career will be easy to progress. If people born with metal element encounter earth to support them, their destiny will be stable. Taoists consider this birth as a flowing river. Where there is water, there is life. If it stagnates, it becomes a desert. The principle of opposing force maintains balance, but if there is only birth without resistance, all things will grow uncontrollably, leading to chaos. Therefore, in the universe there always exists an opposing force to adjust. Wood overcomes earth. Tree roots penetrate the ground. Earth overcomes water. Earth prevents water. Water overcomes water and extinguishes fire. Fire overcomes metal. Fire burns metal. Metal overcomes wood, helps cut down trees. It is this restraint that helps the 5 elements maintain order. In self-catching, if an element is too strong without being restrained, people can easily tilt their orders, and their fortunes will fluctuate. For example, if fire is too strong and does not meet water, then the temper will be hot-tempered and prone to disputes. Too much water without earth will make your career unstable, difficult to shape. When Tuong Thua and Tuong Vu are broken, they no longer harmonize. The ancients also realized that there are times when restraint exceeds the necessary level, which is called mutuality. For example, if the water is too strong and overwhelms the fire to the point that the fire no longer has a chance to shine. On the contrary, if there is weak air and the desire to cry strongly, it is called mutual vu. For example, if the wood is weak and wants to solidify the earth, the wood itself will eventually break. In the 8 characters, the same vehicle and the same vu are signs of extreme fluctuations, signaling unexpected difficulties. This is also the principle that shows that fate is not simply about birth and death, but also has an imbalance, leading to uncertain good and bad. The 5 elements in the 4 pillars. When we combine the 5 elements into the 4 pillars of armor and bones, we will see a picture of destiny. The master of the year is the master of ancestors. Foundation, the lord of the month is master of parents, growing up environment, the lord of the day is master of self, the lord of the hour is master of children, future destiny. Each pillar has a connection, all hide the foundation of the 5 elements. Harmony or conflict will determine a person's life. If the year pillar has metal prosperity and the month pillar has water, meaning metal generates water, then that person has been supported by the environment since childhood, making it easy to learn and develop. But if the year of water pillar is too strong and meets the month pillar of weak fire, water is different from fire, meaning parents and environment are not in harmony, and childhood often faces turmoil. 5 elements and body strength, body weakness. In the 8 characters, an important factor is whether one's destiny is strong or weak. Variance. If the destiny of the day is liver and wood, but the other pillars have water and wood to become forests, that is, the body is strong and the relatives are strong, then you need to practice restraint to restrain, meaning you need metal to cut wood or disaster to consume wood. Only then will your destiny be successful. On the contrary, if wood is born without water and is overcome by a lot of metal, meaning the body is weak, it needs water to nourish it, and needs wood support to have a chance to move forward. The 5 elements that create and overcome here are not just a theory but the key to adjustment, helping people understand what they need for balance, birth, and destiny. The 5 elements are not only contained in the 8 fixed words, but also change according to the destiny of each great destiny and each year. A person's destiny is weak, and if they encounter great luck and prosperity, the metal will be supported and their career will advance. But that same person, when the fortune is great and prosperous, the metal will be affected, he will easily encounter obstacles, his body will be damaged, and life will never be constant, but like the seasons of the year. When the fields come, water prospers. When spring comes, dreams arise. When summer is hot, fire prospers. When autumn cools, gold gives birth. And at the end of the season, it returns to the earth. People who study destiny must understand this rule, to know when the opportunity is favorable, not to resist, but to follow. 5 elements in humanity. Gained. Taoists not only look at the 5 elements as material laws, but also look at the mind. Fire prosperous people are often enthusiastic, but easily get hot-tempered. People with a lot of water are skillful and flexible, but sometimes indecisive. Strong metal people are determined but sometimes rigid. Wood prosperous people are kind but easily biased. People with prosperous land are stable but easily slow. Human nature is the shadow of the 5 elements in the mind. When we understand our own attributes, we know how to regulate them, stay away from extremes, and maintain balance for a better destiny. 5 elements in mind and healthcare. The 5 elements not only correspond to the 8 characters, but also penetrate deeply into traditional medicine. The liver belongs to wood, the heart belongs to fire, the nose belongs to earth, the lungs belong to metal, and the kidney belongs to water. If the 5 internal organs are in harmony, the body will be at peace. If it is biased, it will cause illness. People with a weak wood element often have poor courage and are easily frustrated. People with a prosperous water element are susceptible to kidney disease and colds. People with a strong fire element often have high blood pressure and get hot easily. Therefore, healthcare must also follow the 5 elements. If you know which element you are lacking, supplement it by eating, drinking, qigong, and choosing a suitable place to live and career. Thus, destiny is not only fate, but also a path of cultivation to live a healthy life. Longevity, 5 elements, and Feng Shui art. Feng Shui Taoists use the 5 elements as the basis. Which direction the house faces, how to place the bed, all depend on the 5 elements, life and energy. People lacking carpentry should choose houses near trees and decorated in green colors. People lacking fire should live in the south and use lots of light. People with water disabilities should stay near rivers and lakes, using dark blue colors. People who are weak in metal should use white metal. People lacking earth should use yellow in places of high education. Terracotta Feng Shui is the art of compensating the 5 elements so that people can harmonize with nature and fortune becomes favorable. 5 elements and morality. In life, the 5 elements are also lessons in behavior. Know when to give birth and when to overcome. Like water meeting fire, being soft and gentle controls anger. Him meets wood, using discipline to keep order. A skillful person is someone who knows how to transform according to the 5 elements. When you need to be flexible like water, when you need to be tough like needles, when you need to be tolerant like earth, when you need to be bright like fire, when you need to rise like a tree. This is the lifeblood that keeps people on the right path and away from danger, birth, and destiny. The most essential thing in the 8 characters is to overcome life and death, to determine good and evil. A favorable combination is auspicious, an extreme opposite is auspicious. But auspiciousness is not fixed, it depends on balance. Sometimes overcoming brings good things because it moderates what is too prevalent. Sometimes birth brings bad things because it makes the weak even weaker. For example, if a strong relative has another child, they will become violent and easily encounter disaster. When weak relatives are overcome, they collapse again. Therefore, destiny reading is the art of seeing the subtle operation of life and overcoming, not just one-sided theory. The 5 elements, the bridge between heaven, earth, and humans. Finally, we must see that the 5 elements are the bridge between heaven and earth and human life. The universe rotates according to the 5 elements, and humans are born within it. Understanding the five elements means knowing where you are in the great flow, knowing when to advance and when to retreat. Taoists consider the five elements not to constrain but to open up, so that people can live naturally, without paradoxes. Birth and conflict are the lifeblood of fate and also the heartbeat of the universe. Chapter 6. The original Sunday master of the 8 words soul chasing. In the great sea of destiny, if the 4 pillars are the skeleton supporting destiny, if the 5 elements are the blood vessels that circulate between birth and destruction, then the Sun Lord is the heart, the root of the soul in the entire horoscope. Without a lord, everything in the world becomes indeterminate, like an army without a flag bearer, or a river without a source. People who study destiny must first determine the day's origin, because from there they can measure the body's strength or weakness, prosperity or decline, and from there they can determine the good, bad, and reversible misfortunes of human life. The sun is the center around which the entire universe in the horoscope revolves. What is the Sun Master in 8 characters? Of the 4 pillars, each pillar includes the heavenly stem and the earthly stem. But among the 4 pillars, only the day pillar is truly the center that reflects the person born. The Kan of the day is called En-Hat Kan, which is the Sun Master, also called En-Hat Nguyen. If the entire 8 characters are likened to a garden, the Sun Master is the central tree. Other actions such as parents, spouses, children, and friends all radiate from this root. Therefore, a correct understanding of the Sun Lord is the foundation for interpreting the entire horoscope. The ancients affirmed that all speculations must refer to Sunday. Whether the body is strong or weak, prosperous or weak, all must take Sunday as the standard. Only actions that support or suppress Sunday have meaning. If we ignore Sunday, all analysis becomes fragmentary. This is the core principle that turns Sunday into the soul root of Bakatu Menel, the position of the Lord of the Sun in the 4 pillars. The 5th column represents distant ancestors. The ruler of the month is the parents. The environment in which they live and grow is the future of their children. But only the one who stands alone is oneself. In the horoscope, the earth branch reflects the spouse's palace, while the celestial stem is the bright spot pointing directly to the master of destiny. People often consider the date of birth to be just a number in the calendar, but the 8 characters are where the entire destiny is shaped. Therefore, the sun is not just a technical element, but a spiritual symbol. Humans are the center of their own destiny, not completely controlled by external circumstances, but have their own unchangeable roots. Strong body, weak body. When considering the Sun Lord, the first thing is to determine whether the body is strong or weak. A strong body is when the Lord of the Sun has more vitality and is less restrained. Then Nuak is when the Japanese Lord is oppressed and lacks support. Strong people are like big trees. They can withstand wind and storms, but they can easily become stiff and need to be restrained. Weak people are like sprouts, weak, fragile, and in need of nurturing. This is the key point in the entire 8 characters, because if the body is strong, the spirit must be restrained or consumed with actions. If the body is weak, then the spirit must be hindered by actions. All predictions of good and bad revolve around whether the body is strong or weak. Factors affecting the Japanese master. To know whether the body is prosperous or weak, one must examine the coordination of the elements around the Sun Lord. First is the monthly expense. Because the month of birth governs the weather season, which season of birth will determine the initial energy. For example, if wood is born in the spring, it will be in command and will be prosperous. When wood is born in the fall, the kyak is weak and easily weakened. Then consider whether the surrounding liver chi is stimulated or suppressed, and then the balance of the 5 elements as a whole. Only when we synthesize everything will we know whether Sunday is truly strong or weak. The Lord of the Sun and the relationship with the 10 gods. From the Sun Lord, people divided into 10 gods: Lode, official, seal, food, love, sister, life. The 10 gods only have meaning when referred to the Lord of the Suns. For example, if the Lord of the Sun is wood, then fire is food, earth is lode, metal is observation, water is seal, wood is sister kalpa. It is this comparison that creates a detailed picture of parents, spouses, children, career, and fortune. Without the Sun Lord as the root, the 10 gods are just empty concepts. Therefore, Sunday is the nucleus that gives vitality to the entire 10 god system. The sun
and human nature. Taoists not only consider the Sun Master as a technical point, but also see it as an inner nature. Japanese people belonging to the wood element are often compassionate and like to strive for excellence, but are also prone to emotional bias. Fire Sunday people are often enthusiastic and bright, but sometimes hot-tempered. Earth Sun people are stable but easily slow. Kim Thuong Japanese people are firm but can be too rigid. Water-based Japanese people are flexible and skillful but easily indecisive. Understanding the Lord of the Sun means understanding the fundamental nature of the Lord of Destiny,
from which you know how to regulate and cultivate yourself.
Sunday, and marriage.
In Batuna, marriage is considered mainly from the spouse's sign, which is the local branch of the day pillar. But the harmony or conflict of marriage always refers to the sun. If the Sun Lord is supported by the earth element of the day, the marriage is usually favorable. If the Lord of the Sun is harmed by the earth element of the day, it is easy for husband and wife to have discord. Furthermore, whether Sunday is strong or weak also determines the stability of the relationship. If a weak relative meets a supportive spouse, the marriage will be warm. If a strong relative meets a restrained spouse, the marriage will be tumultuous. Balls show that the Lord of the Sun is the root not only of one's destiny, but also of family happiness. Sunday and career. Careers and people often refer to fortune. But what is fortune, if not judged from the Japanese master? If Sunday is strong and meets a moderate star, it can take power and go far. If the Japanese government faces too many mandarins, the pressure will be too great, and it will be difficult to withstand. Relatives are well suited to a competitive career in management, because they can be restrained. Weak relatives are suitable for stable jobs, and have people to support them because they need support. Looking at Sunday, we not only see potential capacity, but also see the appropriate direction for development. Sunday and destiny. The Lord of the Sun does not stand still, but is always influenced by the great fortunes of the year. When things come to live in the Sunday market, they are like a tree experiencing favorable weather and fire, easily prospering. When the destiny comes to block the sun, it is like a tree caught in a storm, easily encountering difficulties. But cutting hung is not only about overcoming or birthing, but also about balance. When strong relatives encounter additional support, they become violent, which is not necessarily good. If weak relatives encounter more restraint, the weaker they are, the more likely they will be exposed to fire. Therefore, considering the fate must also be based on the strength and weakness of the Sunday. Sunday Master and cultivation. Taoists see the Sun Lord not only as a destiny but as a reminder for people to cultivate. If you know that you are a hot-tempered person, you need to learn how to be as gentle as water. If you know you are a strong metal, you need to know how to be flexible like wood. If you know that you are flexible water, you need to concentrate like earth. Sunday is not to confine people to a framework, but to show the path of cultivation to help them become more balanced. The person who knows how to harmonize the Sun Lord in his heart is the person who steps out of the constraints of fate, the Lord of the Sun, in connection with the heavenly path. Looking deeper, Sunday also symbolizes the relationship between individuals and heaven. The universe rotates, but humans still have a separate center. The sun is the intersection point between nature and humanity. It shows that humans are not anonymous specks of dust, but have a soul rooted in heaven and earth. Taoists consider that understanding the Sun Lord is also understanding oneself in the flow of the universe, thereby living according to the celestial times, without losing one's roots. The Lord of the Sun and the Tao of the world. In life, Sunday teaches people how to behave. If you are the dominant Japanese person, you know that you need to rely on them, and not be stubborn. If the Lord of the Sun is strong, he knows how to be restrained, and should not overwhelm others. This is the art of living, knowing whether your body is strong or weak to behave properly, neither dominating nor being inferior. Therefore, the Lord of the Sun is not only a concept of destiny, but also a mirror that reflects human life. The Lord of the Sun, the source of all 8 characters. The Sun Master is the place of reference for everything in the 8 characters. Body strength or weakness, bad luck or misfortune, all revolve around it. From the Sun Lord, the 10 gods are born. From the Sun Lord, marriage, career, fortune, and destiny are predicted. It is both a core technique and a spiritual symbol. Understanding the Sun Lord is understanding yourself, is grasping the soulful root of the horoscope. People who don't know the Lord of the Sun learn to guess the words, like a person lost in the forest with no direction. A person who masters the Sun Master is like finding the source, from which all analysis becomes clear. Chapter 7. Using divine blood for balance.
There is a principle that the ancients always kept in mind. If all things are biased, they will soon fall apart. Only when balanced can they last. In the eight-word logic, that principle converges in the concept of using gods. If the sun is the root of the soul, then the god is the bloodline that nourishes and harmonizes, helping the entire fate structure not to tilt, but to rotate and flow according to fire. In other words, using gods is the path to balance, the key to neutralizing evil and opening up blessings, the ultimate meaning of divine use. People who learn the 8 characters sooner or later have to come to a hurdle in choosing the right god. Because if you choose wrongly, your entire horoscope will become distorted, your judgment will be wrong, your behavior will be wrong. Choosing the right one is like finding underground water in the middle of the desert. Every danger has a path of transformation. In the entire 8-character system, the god is likened to a doctor who treats the root diseases of the horoscope. Every horoscope has flaws, either too strong or too weak. It is this bias that creates changes in people's lives. Therefore, the use of spirit is chosen to regulate, using what is lacking to compensate for what is surplus, using what is soft to soften what is hard, using what is restraining to restrain the aggressiveness. Taoists consider using gods not simply as one of the 5 elements, but as a principle of life. People who know how to follow the gods are people who follow the right path and know how to live a balanced life. People who do not know how to use the spirit easily go to extremes, and from there encounter constant disasters. Using spirit and the concept of balance in the most basic destiny is whether the body is strong or weak. A strong body must be restrained, a weak body must be supported. That is the starting point for choosing a god. If the Lord of the Sun is too prosperous, you need to choose to use the spirit of mortification or mortification to reduce it. If the Sun Lord is too weak, you need to choose to use the spirit as a supporting action. Balance is the key. Taoists see using gods as like a small stream running towards a tiger, causing the water to neither dry up nor overflow.
It doesn't need to be too much, just enough.
It is this justness that creates peace. If people choose God and add too much bias, it is like treating a disease and causing more disease. Process of choosing God. Choosing a god is not a simple task because it requires looking at the whole horoscope. There are 3 major steps that Taoist scholars often apply. Concentrating on the Sun Master to see whether the body is strong or weak, prosperous or weak. Understanding the root is easy. Consider the qi of the season and the month of birth as the source of qi, determining the dominant position, so it cannot be ignored. Analyzing the whole, looking at the 5 elements in their entire composition, the birth and suppression between the limbs. From there we can see the shortages and biases. From those 3 steps we can come up with the true method of using the spirit. A small mistake in the identification step has caused all the following conclusions to be wrong. Therefore, the ancients often advised that when studying destiny, you must first practice a calm mind and not rush to see the true energy in each chart, using the spirit and the spirit of joy.
In catching words, there is a distinction between using the spirit and rejoicing the spirit. Using spirit is an essential factor for total cure, just like medicine. Divine joy is an auxiliary element, like a delicious dish that adds flavor. Having it is good. Not having it won't ruin it. For example, if a weak wood is born in the fall, the spirit will be water to give birth to wood. But at the same time, the spirit of joy can be wood or fire to support more vitality. By mastering this difference, we will not be confused. There are teachers who, because of confusion between use and joy, guide people down the wrong path, from which life becomes more difficult. Using magic and neutralizing evil. The danger in the 8 characters often comes from bias. People with the fire element are too strong and easily angered, and are prone to disasters due to impulsiveness. If you choose to use the god water, it will be like cool water that calms the fire, making that person patient and restrained, thereby avoiding disaster. People with a strong metal destiny, easily stubborn, and conservatively choose to use magic and disaster to hone, making the metal less rough and becoming a useful tool. There are horoscopes that seem to be full of danger, but when they meet the right god in great fortune or longevity, everything will change for the better. This is the great secret of the 8 characters. Knowing that evil is not to be afraid, but to find a way to neutralize the evil spirits and open up blessings and virtues.
Not only neutralizing, using magic is also the key to unlocking blessings. People who know what their spirit is can rely on it to cultivate. If the destiny needs water, then that person is suitable to live near rivers and lakes, the sea, and to work in jobs related to water such as traffic, transport, and communications. If you need wood, you should be close to trees, study, and be creative.
If you need fire, you should live in an environment of light, literature, and technology. If you need earth, you should contact land, construction, and education. If you need metal, it is suitable for tools, finances, and discipline. Taoists consider it a way of living according to destiny. People who live according to the use of God will be like a boat sailing with the wind, encountering few obstacles, and blessings will come naturally. Use God and human morality. At a deeper level, using gods also teaches people the ethics of life. Each person has a divine command, and life is the process of harmonizing that divine command. The application of spirit is not only in the horoscope, but also in the mind. Hot-tempered people learn to be gentle, which is to find the spirit in their hearts. Weak people learn to be strong, that is also finding magic. Thus, using God is not a rigid concept, but a life lesson that God gives to each person. Illustrative example of magic use. A person born on Sunday winter is fire. Fire is already weak in the cold winter, but without the support from wood, the body is extremely weak. The god used here is wood to generate fire, and fire to strengthen oneself. If in great fortune there is a lot of wood and fire, that person's life will be bright and successful. But if you encounter a lot of water metal, it can easily be extinguished and face many difficulties. Another person, the Japanese ruler is wood, was born in the spring. At this time, wood was already prosperous, but with more support, the body was too strong. Using the spirit will be metal to overcome wood, or fire to eliminate wood. If this person knows how to rely on metal or fire, his career will develop. If he continues to rely on wood and water, he will be more confused and prone to disasters. Through this, we can see that using God is the place for us to grasp the core of our destiny. Use magic and fate. In the course of destiny, when great fortune or longevity meets the right action, using the spirit, it is like a dry tree meets rain, but a sick person meets a good teacher. That is the time when blessings and virtues open up, career is successful, and marriage is favorable. On the contrary, if you encounter an enemy, you will easily encounter disaster. But we must also understand that using gods is not only luck from the outside, but also an opportunity for people to learn how to regulate their minds. Those who know how to obey will be fortunate, those who resist will be evil. Use God in the eyes of Taoists. Taoists see the use of gods not only as a technique of destiny, but as a symbol of the Tao. Tao is the path of balance between two extremes. The spirit is the bridge connecting those two poles, helping people return to the middle. People who do not know how to use God will live in extremes, sometimes too prosperous, sometimes too weak, like a boat losing its rudders. People who know how to use the spirit will live in harmony, knowing where to add and where to subtract, just like a musician knows how to keep the rhythm in a piece of music. Use spirit is the lifeblood of the 8 characters. It not only helps neutralize dangers, but also opens the path to virtue. It's not just a technique, it's a philosophy of life, teaching people how to balance and obey heaven and earth. Knowing how to use the spirit is knowing the way. Living according to the spirit is living according to the way. Therefore, if you want to understand the 8 characters, you must understand the use of gods. If you want to change your destiny, you must use the spirit. And if you want to be at ease in the midst of life's upheavals, you must turn the use of the spirit into daily cultivation actions. Then the 8 words are no longer a cold judgment, but become a living guide that leads us to lasting balance, harmony, and happiness. Chapter 8. Pains. The spirit of joy and disobedience has a reversible flow. In life, not everything that comes to us is meant to nourish, nor is everything meant to destroy. There are factors that are like tears watering a plant, causing it to grow lushly. But there are also factors that are like a storm sweeping through, causing the plant to easily fall apart. In the 8 characters, those 2 principles are called the spirit of joy and the spirit of hatred. Understanding them, that is, understanding the reversible flow and destiny, is also learning how to add and subtract in life to reach balance. The nature of joy and hatred. If using the spirit is the lifeblood to regulate the whole situation, then the joy of the spirit is the catalyst, a factor that complements the success. On the contrary, Being jealous of gods is something that easily causes bias and is the seed that creates disaster. People with joy and prosperity are like meeting a companion. The more they walk, the brighter they become. A person who encounters a strong enemy is like carrying a heavy stone on his shoulder. The more he walks, the more tired he becomes. However, in a favorable conclusion, there may be hidden seeds of contradiction, and in the opposite, there is an opportunity for awakening. That's why Taoists teach that joy and displeasure are not just luck or misfortune, but are also lessons given to each person by heaven. Divine joy, tears and destiny. Joy is a factor that further supports balance. If destiny already has a God to regulate it, then the joy of the God will help increase the favorable conditions, making life run more easily. For example, a person with a weak wood element used water as the god to give birth to wood. When in great fortune there is more wood or water, it is a spirit of joy that helps that person's life become more prosperous. The appearance of the spirit of joy is like when the sun is hot, suddenly there is a shower, the trees become more vibrant, and people's hearts become cooler. In reality, when joy appears in bad luck, it is often a period of many opportunities: better health, bright spirit, easy career development, and favorable karma. Resist the storm of disobedience. In contrast to the divine spirit, the negative spirit is the factor that causes the fate to be distorted, damaging the balance. If the gods have worked hard to balance, then the negative gods will appear and disrupt that balance. For example, a person with a weak fire element used wood as a spirit to create fire. When you encounter a lot of water in your luck, it is a taboo against the gods, just like a big plan to extinguish a small fire, causing that person to become exhausted, have a difficult career, and lose their spirit. The appearance of negative spirits is often accompanied by illness, disaster, loss, or at least the spirit is challenged and work is stagnant. But the evil god is not entirely a disaster. Sometimes it is thanks to the taboo that people know how to be humble, know how to reform, and know how to adjust their directions. That is also the paradoxical meaning in religion. A bad person can become a great teacher. The principle of adding and subtracting in life. Joy and jealousy teach us to learn more and less. When we encounter joy, we learn to take advantage of it and increase our strength. When we encounter negative spirits, we learn to moderate, eliminate, and stay away from harmful things. Taoists often use the image of cooking as an example. A delicious soup needs some seasoning, but if you add too much, it will be too salty and bitter to eat. KY than is the delicious added flavor, but KY than is the wrong spice that ruins the whole soup. In the same way, human life is a matter of destiny. Adding the right things, subtracting harmful things, will be complete. Distinguish between joy and use. Many people confuse the spirit of joy with the spirit of use. Using God is the core, the root, to cure the fates. The spirit of joy is a supporting element. Having good meat, not having it, does not destroy the whole situation. For example, a person with a strong metal element uses fire as the god to control. If he meets wood in his luck, it may be the god of joy. Because wood creates fire, it indirectly helps the spirit. But if that fate does not have wood but fire still appears, then the fate is still stable. Thus, the spirit of joy cannot replace the spirit of use, but with it, everything will go more smoothly. Distinguish between hateful gods and hostile gods. In addition to the 8-word concept of hateful gods, there are also hostile gods. Jealousy is a factor that causes harm to the whole and causes imbalance. The god of death is an unsuitable element, but has a lighter impact, sometimes only causing annoyance, but not destruction. For example, if water element is weak, metal is used as the god. When meeting earth, it is a taboo god. Because earth overcomes water, it directly causes harm, but if it encounters fire, it is only an enemy. Because fire overcomes metal, it weakens metal, indirectly reducing water's vitality, but does not directly destroy the whole thing. By understanding this boundary, we can make subtle inferences. The spirit of joy in the years, months, days, and hours. Not only great fortune and longevity, but even each year, month, day, and hour can also carry the energy of joy or jealousy. Those who know how to observe will understand why there are days when everything goes smoothly and other days when everything stumbles. When the spirit of joy appears, you should take advantage of big things, opening ceremonies, getting married, and praying for wealth. When evil spirits appear, you should calm down, abstain, avoid disputes, and limit risks.
This is also part of the art of choosing good and bad days in Asian tradition. Joy and the field of life.
The appearance of the spirit of joy often brings joy in the corresponding areas.
About career.
Easy to get promoted. Meet noble people. Work goes smoothly.
Financially, it's easy to make a profit, it's convenient to trade, and there are investment opportunities. Regarding marriage, love is compatible, it is easy to meet the right person, and the family is peaceful. About health, peace of mind and body, remission of diseases, fear of gods, and other areas of life. On the contrary, when the negative spirit has a strong impact, it often brings adversity. About career, easy to get into gossip, loss of position, stagnant work. About finances, loss of load, loss of investment. About marriage, easy to quarrel, conflict, separation. About health, illness, accidents, mental decline. But in the evil plan, you can find sand if you know how to stay awake. People who know that the evil spirit is coming can prepare themselves, limit risks, and keep themselves safe. Joy and jealousy in the 5 elements. Each element can become joy or anger depending on the horoscope. When metal is needed to make wood, it is a blessing. When excess, it harms water, it is a taboo. When wood needs to create fire, it is happy. When it is used to suppress earth, it is taboo. When water needs to give birth to wood, it is joy. When there is too much, it extinguishes fire, it is taboo. When fire needs to release metal or support earth, it is high. When a lot of wood burns, it is taboo. When earth is needed to overcome water, it is joyful. When it is too much to block the flow of water, it is taboo. As a result, we see that no action is absolutely good or bad, it only changes depending on the circumstances. The art of using magic. People who understand joy and spirit can use it to direct their lives. If the spirit of joy is wood, it should be in a place with lots of trees and nature. If the god of joy is water, you should stick with rivers and lakes and careers related to communication and transportation. If your god of joy is fire, you should pursue a career in light or art. If the joy of the god is the earth, we should work on land and education. If the spirit of joy is metal, you should stick with technology and finance. A purely joyful way of life makes life less difficult, like climbing a boat downstream. The art of dissolving taboos. Evil spirits cannot be completely eliminated, but they can be neutralized. If you are afraid of water, you should stay in a dry place and avoid living near rivers and seas. If the hate god is fire, you should live in moderation, avoid this heat, and reduce the fire element in your living environment. If you hate metal, you should avoid contact with scissors or dangerous machinery. If the god is wood, then avoid places where many large trees can easily fall. If your god is earth, avoid investing in land when it is not yet ripe. There are also feng shui methods, cultivating character, practicing good deeds, and accumulating virtue to transform evil into good. Reversible morality. Joy and jealousy teach us that life is a reversible flow. If things go well, things will go well. If things go wrong, you will suffer. But going forward or going against them will all be lessons. Pros, let us go far. Misfortunes, let us learn patience. Without disobedience, we easily become arrogant. Without obedience, we easily despair. Both are 2 sides of the path. Together they form a complete journey. The joy of the god is the tears that water the plants. The hate of the god is the destructive wind and storm. Knowing what to take advantage of, knowing how to avoid it, is the way of adding and subtracting in life. The person who knows how to use the spirit of joy will advance quickly. The person who knows how to avoid the spirit of jealousy will reduce fire. And the person who knows both will live peacefully. In the 8 characters, joy and displeasure are not coincidences, but are maps given by heaven, so that people can learn how to balance. If we look at it, we will see that reversibility is just 2 sides of one flow. Walking in that stream, if your mind is clear, even if you encounter a warning, it will become an opportunity. Even if you encounter rain or shine, it will become a blessing. Chapter 9. Big Luck, Little Luck. The spinning wheel of the times. People often think that their destiny lies only in the moment they are born. But in reality, destiny does not stand still and does not change, but always moves with the flow of time. Great fortune, small fortune, and longevity are the big and small waves on the sea of fate that push the boat of life forward or turn upside down. Whoever understands that movement grasps the breathing rhythm of heaven and earth, knows when to set sail, when to drop anchor, and when to wait for calm waves to continue. Great fortune, the great wave of human life. In Batu, Divan is a 10-year cycle, like a giant wave lifting a boat or sinking it. Each destiny is determined from birth, depending on gender and year of birth, to calculate the starting point. People entering a new destiny are like changing ports and changing streams.
Some people enter great luck and happiness. The whole 10 years are like a warm spring. Some people fall into great misfortune. 10 years as long as a cold winter. Great destiny is the main axis, the great context of human life in each stage. If the 8 characters are like strong earth, then the great destiny is the climate. The soil may be fertile, but if the climate is harsh, it will be difficult for plants to grow. On the contrary, the land can be dry, but if the climate is mild, the plants can still be lush. In Taoist philosophy, great fortune is the great challenge posed by heaven and earth. Those who know how to follow can turn opposition into compliance, but those who don't know can easily waste 10 years. Minor fortunes rhythm each year. If great fortune is the great wave, then small fortune is the rhythm of each year. A year can open up opportunities, or it can also bring challenges, depending on how it resonates with great destiny. For example, if a person is in good fortune but encounters a year of strong anti-gods, then that year the underground waves will be fierce, career and spirit will be easily challenged. On the contrary, if people are in bad luck but encounter a year of good luck, that year will be like a breath of good wind, bringing opportunities to help them overcome difficulties. Small destiny is where people most clearly feel the change of fate, because its impact is close and specific. Every year we see ourselves flourishing or falling. That is the breath of Tivana, perpetual breath, every day. If great fortune is the climate of 10 years, small fortune is the weather of each year, then longevity is the breath of each day, every month, every year. The heavenly stem and earthly branches rotate, creating interaction with the 8 characters. A sophisticated person can realize that today the mood is bright, tomorrow it will be gloomy, some days work will be favorable, another day will have to wait. Lu Nian does not decide the overall situation, but is the wind blowing directly into the sails. If you know that on days when the waves are calm, you should go far away, and on days when the wind is against you, you should rest, then you will have less loss and more achievements. Great fortunes, small fortunes, and the twists and turns of times. Great destiny is the framework, minor destiny is the music, longevity is each note. These 3 elements combine to form the symphony of time in destiny. There are times when big waves and small waves rise together, making the whole sky glow, and that person takes a step to sublimate. Sometimes when both great and small fortunes are against each other, there are dark clouds, making it difficult to avoid difficulties. But it's important to understand that no wave lasts forever. Big waves sometimes disappear, small waves sometimes subside. Like day follows night, like spring follows summer. People who study religion see this without fear, just wait patiently and act at the right time. Great fortune, and the cycle of human life. A person's life usually goes through 8 to 9 great fortunes, from childhood to old age. Every great fortune carries a lesson. Having great fortune teaches people how to endure, having great fortune teaches people how to enjoy. There is great fortune that teaches how to let go, and there is great fortune that teaches how to build. When young people encounter good fortune, they are easily explosive, but also easily arrogant. When middle-aged people encounter great fortune, they often feel melancholy, but if they are patient, they will revive strongly. Those who enter the great destiny often learn how to rest and prepare for the final journey. Great luck is like a great teacher who gives us a chapter of a book every 10 years to read. Minor fortunes and specific experiences. Tiva helps us see clearly each step of life's path. A good year can be the year of getting married, getting promoted, or building a house. A bad year can be a year of divorce, unemployment, or illness. But it's all just part of the great flow of great destiny. People who understand destiny will not despair because of a bad year, nor will they be subjective because of a good year. They look out for 10 years before deciding what to do in 1 year. The resonance between great fortune and small fortune. Big luck and small luck are not separate but resonate with each other. When good luck meets small luck, success is doubled and opportunities come one after another. When big bad luck meets small bad luck, disaster creates substance. When one is positive and the other is negative, it creates just enough challenge for practice. Taoists often say that people need to go through minor negative fortunes to appreciate great favorable fortunes. just like having to go through cold winters to see the precious warm spring. Times and individuals. Great fortune not only affects the individual but is also related to the times. Some people who meet the right luck at the right time can easily start a career and gain fame quickly. Some people encounter great fortune at the wrong time, even if their talent is difficult to develop. This is the blend between personal destiny and society's destinies. People who learn destiny not only look at themselves, but also observe the times to know when to advance and when to hide. Destiny and career choice. In each great destiny, the suitable career also changes. If your great fortune belongs to water, you should do jobs related to communication, trade, and transportation. If the great fortune belongs to fire, then art, technology, and media are suitable. If the great fortune belongs to wood, it is suitable for education, medicine, and creativity. If the fortune belongs to metal, then finance, technology, and law are suitable. If great fortune belongs to the earth, then real estate, management, and politics are suitable. Those who know how to follow will be supported during those 10 years. Those who go against it will be like climbing a boat against the waves. Minor fortunes and important decisions. Small fortune affects every decision, big and small. Choosing the wrong year to get married can lead to a lifetime of insecurity. Choosing the wrong year to invest can lead to financial ruin. On the contrary, if you choose the right year, everything will go smoothly, as if by God's help. Taoists teach that everything important should be chosen at an auspicious time, like sowing seeds. If you sow at the right season, the plants will grow well. If you sow at the wrong season, the seeds will wither. Small fortune is the season of a person's life, perpetuity, and daily mindfulness. Perennialism reminds us that every day is valuable. We don't need to wait 10 years to change. A quiet day can sow seeds for the whole future. People who know how to be alert will see each day as an opportunity to adjust, to correct themselves, and to accumulate virtue. When bad years come, awakened people do not complain but know how to accept themselves, minimize losses, and focus on cultivation. When a good year comes, that person does not waste money but takes advantage of the opportunity to build for the future. Reincarnation of fate. Great fortune and little fortune teach us that human life is a cycle of reincarnation. No one is always in the light, no one is always in the dark. Every cycle ends, a new cycle opens. People who know the way do not wish for the waves to be calm forever, but learn to climb steadily when the waves are big, and to let go when the waves are small. That is the art of living with destiny. The art of good fortune. Having good luck does not mean giving up. Favorable fortune means understanding the flow so as not to oppose it. When we know that the next 10 years will be good luck, we can strive hard. When we know that the next 10 years will be bad luck, we can choose to hide, accumulate, and cultivate. Taoists consider favorable luck to be a part of wisdom, because knowing how to go along requires little effort. Knowing how to go against it makes it easier to break the load. Great fortune and spiritual journey. Ultimately, great destiny is not only an external change, but also an internal spiritual journey. Some people, in times of bad luck, have learned to let go and grow spiritually. Some people, in good fortune, become infatuated with material things and lose their original mind. Therefore, great and small fortunes are not just to predict bad luck, but to reflect on yourself. Each cycle is an opportunity for us to live closer to religion, more balanced between ambition and peace. Great fortune, small fortune, and longevity are like wheels turning the times, pushing the boat of fate to float on the sea. People who don't know panic and complain. People who know watch, wait, and act at the right time. Waves are not the enemy. Waves are the rhythm of heaven and earth. Whoever understands that will be at peace for 10 years in favor, and 10 years against will be at peace. Because destiny is not just a pushing wave, destiny is also a climbing hand in our hands. Chapter 10. Marriage, fortune, and Mandarin fortune in capturing words. There are times when people stand at the crossroads of marriage, money, or career, with both hope and fear in their hearts. It was at that moment that the 8 characters were revealed like a mirror, reflecting the process of destiny. Show us what causes and conditions will come, what wealth will gather or disperse, what fame will prosper or decline. But if a person who learns the 8 characters only looks at the results and forgets the causes planted at the roots, he will certainly lose the essence of the path, because all good and bad things have a cause hidden deep in the principle of cause and effect. 8 characters in marriage. Is fate due to heaven
or the mind. Marriage in the 8 characters is often discussed from the beginning, because the Lord of the Sun is the body, and the Sun Chi is the place where the spouse's roots are located. The heavenly stem and earth branch of the date of birth open up the path of love, indicating whether the partner is compatible or not, favorable or turbulent. But if you only consider the 8 characters as a predetermined verdict, you will not understand the spirit of religion. Taoists consider love as the meeting between 2 streams of yin and yangs. There was a predestined relationship from a previous life, but now they met again and turned into marriage. If a person has the cardinal sun, if he meets a partner who complements the 5 elements, his love will be strong. On the contrary, the Lord of the Sun is too prosperous, but the spouse is not restrained or harmonious. Love can easily become forced. People with a negative destiny need a positive partner to balance them. People with a lot of yang energy need a yin partner to be gentle. This is not just a dry theory, but the principle of yin and yang. Harmony between the 2 poles gives birth to life. In Batu, gods related to marriage such as Dao Hoa, Hong Lon, Tian He often show the beginning of love. But the most important thing does not lie in whether or not you are a woman, but in knowing how to preserve your character. Because marriage is a mirror of cause and effect. People who cultivate their minds, even if their destiny is reversed, will turn into good fate. Indolent people, even if they force themselves to go along with it, can easily cause trouble. Marriage in great fortune and small destiny is not only considered by date, marriage is also influenced by destiny. Some people have a fateful moment when love opens up. Even before that, even though it was not successful, some people have conflicting luck, and their family life is difficult. Great fortune is like a big wave. When the 5 elements are in harmony, marriage is smooth, but when they are in conflict, separation is easy. Small fortunes or long-term fortunes are like small waves, signaling which years are likely to bring joy and which years are difficult. Taoists recognize that marriage is a practice in life. If destiny shows you to be patient, then that is the place to practice patience. If fate shows that our spouse is weak, then that weakness is an opportunity for us to build and nurture love. Therefore, looking at the 8 characters is not only to know who is compatible with us, but also to know how we need to train our mind so that fate can last for a long time. The 8 characters and wealth are blessings or misfortunes. In the horoscope, fortune is interpreted from the stars. Men of destiny often take talent as wives, women of destiny often take talent as husband, but beyond that narrow meaning, talent in the 8 characters is also a measure of the ability to grasp material things. A talented and prosperous person is good at managing money and good at business, but if the load is too much and the body is weak, it is like a person carrying gold and having a broken back. Talented people have difficulty keeping wealth, but if they are prosperous but lack talent, they can easily become poor people. The 5 elements of wealth are also important. If wealth gives birth to the body, money will come with less hardship. If talent overcomes body, earning money is difficult. If talent is overcome, money comes and goes. Batua not only teaches us how to analyze money, but also teaches us to see the nature of wealth, which is the circulation of energy, not dead matter. People who are too greedy for wealth will only bring trouble in the end. People who know how to consider wealth as a means, whether rich or poor, can maintain peace of mind. In your journey, if you encounter good luck, your career will develop, and your fortune will be prosperous. When you encounter financial difficulties, you should preserve it and avoid speculation. But Taoists emphasize that fortune is not separate from virtue. Virtue is the root, talent is the tip. People who have talent but do not have virtue will sooner or later fall into a situation of loss. If a person has virtue but lacks talent, God will make up for it when needed. The 8 characters reveal the heavenly secret to fortune, but only those who understand cause and effect can truly use that chance. Fame, fortune, power, and responsibility. Guanlok in the 8 characters is discussed in Death Guan Star. What does this mean about power, position, career? If a relative is prosperous and meets a mandarin, his career will be bright. Weak relatives who are too prosperous are susceptible to pressure and constraints. Quan Tin also refers to laws, rules, and social constraints. People with strong officials are often people who bear great responsibility. In great fortune, if you have good luck, your career will advance, and you will easily meet noble people to support you.
But if the organs are too strong and the body is weak, the pressure of work will make the body and mind tired. If your luck is too much, you will easily get into financial trouble. Therefore, fortune in the 8 characters is not only a reputation, but also a burden. People who understand religion know that high positions have heavy responsibilities, and great power has deeper karma. In Taoist philosophy, reputation is just an illusion. People who gain fame but are arrogant will eventually lose it. People who achieve fame and fortune, and know how to use it to benefit the world, will increase their blessings and virtues. Self-catching shows us when it's appropriate to move forward, and when to keep to ourselves. But in the end it still allows us to follow nature, not forcing ourselves. Marriage, fortune, and fortune are the 3 pillars of human life. These 3 aspects are closely related. If the marriage is harmonious, the family will be peaceful. And from there, your career will be smooth, and your fortune will be stable. A tumultuous marriage can make your career insecure, and your fortune easily lost. Abundant wealth makes marriage easy and peaceful, but if it is too greedy, it becomes a cause of division. If the fortune is radiant, fortune will follow. But if your reputation is too great, and you neglect to practice religion, your marriage will fall apart. Catching words shows that cause and effect relationship, so that people know how to keep balance. You should not abandon love because of wealth. You should not forget your religion because of officialdom. You should not abandon your ambition because of marriage. Everything needs the sea of fire, like the 5 elements, which interact to maintain the universe. The moral behind the words. If we only consider marriage, fortune, and Mandarin fortune as 3 benefits, it is no different from pursuing religion. But Taoists look deeper. These 3 things are just a mirror reflecting the human mind. People with a pure mind have a peaceful marriage, full wealth, and fame and fortune. People with disordered minds have turbulent marriages. Their fortunes are dissipated, and their reputation is illusory. The 8 characters do not bind people, but enlighten them on how to see the connection between cause and effect. The Tao teaches that knowing what is enough is a blessing. The 8 characters teaches that knowing when is wise. When these 2 things come together, people live according to the sky without forcing themselves, maintain peace in all situations, and apply it in modern life. Nowadays, many people come to ask about marriage, fortune, and fame. Some people want to know which year they get married. Some people want to know which industry is prosperous. Some people want to know when they will be promoted. But if they stop there, the 8 characters will become a calculation tool. People who study religion need to look further. Every fate, every opportunity for fortune is a lesson for us to cultivate. Marriage is a lesson in love and patience. Fortune is a lesson about letting go and knowing enough. Quan Lok is a lesson about responsibility and humility. Uncle Tu points out the time for those lessons to come to us. If we only hope to enjoy the benefits without learning the lesson, our fate will still pass as before. If we consciously turn adversity into an opportunity to cultivate ourselves, then we will grasp the mystery of the 8 words. Fate is the root, mind is the master. Marriage, fortune, and fortune are the 3 great flows in human life. Self-reflection shows us whether the flow is positive or negative. But the decisive thing is still the mind. If the mind is balanced, then destiny will be favorable. If the mind is biased, even if it is beautiful, it will be difficult to maintain. Taoism teaches that destiny is the root, mind is the master. The 8 characters are the map, but humans are the drivers. So when looking at your horoscope, don't just ask who you will marry, how rich you will be, or how much Mandarin you will become. Let's ask how we need to cultivate our minds so that our marriage will last long, so that we will have enough wealth, and so that our career will not be forced. That is the quintessence of the 8 characters, also the quintessence of the religion. Chapter 11. Hectors, the 8 characters and the earth tunnels are the fortunes of heaven and earth. Some people are born with a destiny of prosperity, but living in a land of shallow energy will lose their fortune. There are people with ordinary 8 characters, but thanks to meeting the dragon veins of the land spirit, they turn defeat into victory. Therefore, discussing the 8 words cannot be separated from the underground path. Because soil is the foundation of all things, the place where the roots of all fortunes converge and spread. Tunnels in the perspective of Taoists. In Taoism, heaven is heaven, earth is earth, humanity is people. The 3 elements combine to form the triumvirate.
The person who points to the 8-word text, but forgets the terrain, is the person reading the book that is missing an important page. Earth is not only soil and rock, but also a vein of air, a breath soaked under the soil layer, a vein meandering like a dragon hidden in the clouds. The tunnel is what keeps, what nourishes, what nurtures. Heaven can give light, people can move, but the earth is the place to take root, the place where energy gathers to form good and evil. The destiny of heaven and earth, and the connection with the 8 characters. The 8 characters represent the natural times in the horoscope. But to bring about results, there must be favorable terrain. A person with strong solar energy is like a brilliant fire. If he lives in an area of prosperous air and water, that light will be nourished and become a lamp that shines far. But if the same person is in a dry desert area, the fire will be even more burning, easily flaring up and then extinguishing. The 8 characters indicate the potential, while heaven and earth determine the environment that helps that potential expand or contract.
Dragon veins and the fate of life.
Ancient people chose land to build houses, not just to look at the direction of the sun, but to find the dragon's veins.
The dragon vein is the path of the earth's energy. When a person's 8 characters need more wood, if they live in a place where the wood veins are prosperous and the trees are green, their luck will be enhanced. On the contrary, if there is a lack of wood in arid, rocky, mountainous areas, that destiny will be difficult to develop and will easily dry up. Fate and terrain are like 2 supporting arms. One side is the roots from the day and time of birth, the other side is the flow of heaven and earth. Feng Shui is like the flow of the tunnel.
Feng Shui is the science of observing and applying tunnels. Houses, tombs, citadels, all are closely related to the 8 characters. People with the destiny of fire and prosperity, but whose house is open to the south, place the kitchen opposite the door, causing more fire, and over time it is easy to become impatient and cause discord in the family. On the contrary, if that person lives near a river and the door of the house faces the north with a gentle flow, then the water energy will moderate the fire and the destiny will become balanced. Feng Shui does not replace words, but is a visible hand that adjusts the excess in the horoscope.
The earth's living spirit is a masterpiece.
The old saying that the land's spiritual life is a masterpiece is not empty praise. A land with prosperous energy, meandering dragon veins, and bright halls of water often produces many talented people. When comparing the 8 characters, we see that people in that land, even though they have ordinary lives, still have the opportunity to study, make friends, and achieve more than others. On the contrary, in a land of shallow climate, broken mountains, and Duke River, people there are prone to violence and insecurity. Đây là mình chung rõ rệt cho sức mạnh của Gia Giao trong việc gìn hình văn minh, táp the và cả nhàn, nhà ở và chuông khi của con ngoài. The house is not only a place to live, but also a wall that reflects the 8 characters. If a person with the 8 characters is weak in wood, if they live in a house with many trees, an airy garden, and windows overlooking the garden that promote vitality, their spirit will flourish and their health will be good. On the contrary, if you live in a closed house with a lack of light, diseases can easily arise, and fortune will be difficult to maintain. The house is the small land, and the land is the big land. When the small earth and the great earth are in harmony, the 8 characters are nourished. The art of choosing land to start a business. When ancient people went to explore, they often chose land based on mountain and river positions. Mountains behind, water in front, Ta Long Hu Ho, Ming Tuong, wide open. All of these elements are specific manifestations of the tunnels.
When combined with Bat Tugye, the art of the whole world becomes even clearer. People with a prosperous water element should not stay near big rivers, as they can easily drift away. People of the metal element need soil rich in minerals, and in rocky mountain areas, their element will grow. Choosing a suitable land means bringing the land into your life to guide your destiny, the family's graves, and future destiny. Not only the living but also the dead are affected by the tunnels. Taoists believe that the grave is where the energy of the deceased meets the energy of the earth. If the grave is placed in a prosperous land, future descendants will often enjoy happiness. On the contrary, if the grave is in a place with dry air or poor soil, descendants will easily encounter obstacles. When compared with the 8 characters, graves can be helpful or harmful. If an 8-character person lacks water,
If their ancestors are buried near water-gathering places, future descendants will naturally have more balance factors. This is the secret but extremely close connection between the 8 letters and the tunnels. The prosperity and decline of the era, not only a small land, but an entire region. A country also has its own destiny. There are dynasties that have prospered for hundreds of years. Because of the favorable location where the dragon veins converge, there are also dynasties that decline quickly. Because the land does not have enough strength to support them, humans are born in each. During that era, Batu also bore a common mark. If the tunnels of the period are prosperous, the 8 characters are easily promoted. If the tunnels are in a chaotic period, even good fates will find it difficult to avoid turbulence. Earth energy acts as a catalyst for self-catching. In chemistry, there are catalysts that speed up reactions. In Destiny 2, Earth energy is the catalyst. An 8-word piece without divine command. If you encounter bad land, it gradually becomes deadlocked. But if the land is good and runs smoothly, everything will naturally move forward. This shows that we cannot just talk about numbers and ignore heaven and earth. People who understand tunnels know that changing their place of residence, choosing a direction, and improving feng shui can all open up a new rhythm of fortune for their lives. Earthly path and resonance with heavenly path. Heaven determines great destiny. Favorable terrain cultivates small destiny. Sometimes the 8 characters foretell a great disaster. But if that person lives in a place with strong earth energy, it can alleviate financial misfortune. On the contrary, if the fortune is good but the earth is bad, the luck will not be complete. This resonance is like the wind blowing through the grasslands. If the grasslands wither, strong winds can easily cause fires. If the grasslands are green, the wind blows into heavenly music. Heaven and earth work together to create a complete picture of the 8 characters. Applying tunnels in personal cultivation. Taoists teach that people can follow the earth's energy to nurture their minds. People with a hot heart should stay near water. People with a weak mind should stay in a strong mountain area. People who often wander should live on stable, flat land. This is a way of cultivating through the tunnels that helps the 8 characters become not just a static horoscope, but a dynamic journey. When living in harmony with the environment, your personality is gradually balanced, your mind is open, and from there, humanity is enhanced. The 8 characters are like seeds. The tunnel is like an abundant field. If a good seed is planted in poor soil, it will be difficult to germinate. If a normal seed is planted in fertile soil, it can still bloom. 8 characters are seeds. Tunnels are fields. No one can choose their birthday, but they can choose where they live and how to be in harmony with heaven and earth. People who understand this will not be pessimistic when they see that their 8 characters are weak, but will know how to use the tunnel to transform. Heaven and earth are in every step of human life. Every day people step on the earth and breathe the air. Every action, every choice is more or less influenced by the terrain. A person decides to settle down in a new land, which means bringing his or her 8 characters into the flow of geomancy there. The success or failure of that decision lies not only in talent or destiny, but also in compatibility or discord with the tunnel. Understanding this, the wise person no longer views the earth as an empty background, but as a living field of energy, where he must be in harmony to grow. The 8 characters and the underground tunnels merge. The 8 characters show us the internal map of destiny. The tunnels show us the flow of the external environment. One side is the root, the other side is the environment. The roots are strong, but bad soil is difficult to endure. Weak roots but good soil can still sprout. Taoists see life as not rigid or absolute. All things move. Fate can also change, thanks to the harmony between the 8 characters and the destiny of heaven and earth. A wise person knows that when he is in harmony with the earth's energy, every step is light, like flowing water, like the wind lifting a bird's wings. Chapter 12. The 8-character door to the path or the chain of destiny. There are people who, as soon as they hear about fate, are immediately afraid, thinking that everything has been arranged and that they are only the ones walking in the dark. But there are also people who use the 8 symbols as a lamp to light the way, clearly seeing ups and downs without fear. So in the end, is captivity a chain that imprisons people, or a door that opens up a religion where people can walk freely? A mirror reflects instead of a predetermined verdict. The 8 characters in Taoism are considered as a mirror. They neither condemn nor bless. It only reflects what is inherently revealed in the natural times, favorable conditions, and human atmosphere at the moment a person cries out into the world. People who look in the mirror and think that it is an immutable judgment are mistaken. People who look in the mirror and see that they need to repair their air conditioner will understand the true meaning. A mirror can make the ignorant tremble, but it can calm the wise. Chains of superstition. When people accept fate and believe that everything is arranged and they have no right to choose, they become bound by invisible chains. They blame their fate instead of examining themselves. People like that easily fall into superstition, looking for ways to change names, change days, change directions, in hopes of turning things around, while forgetting the roots that easily lie in morality and wisdom. That chain is not bound by 8 characters but is created by the human mind. The door opens to the path. Wise people will see the 8 characters as a map showing the way. If you know that your horoscope lacks water, find a way to supplement it by living near rivers and cultivating gentleness. Knowing that you are prosperous, you learn to control your temper and live in harmony. It is in that process that people not only correct their destiny, but also walk on the path of religion, because religion is the sea of fire between humans and heaven and earth. That door is open to those who know how to be calm, know how to use understanding, and know how to live smoothly, not to those who only know how to pray for luck. Maps and itineraries. If we consider the 8 characters as a map, then life is a journey. Maps can tell us whether mountains, rivers are dangerous or favorable, but the map does not decide where we stop, which turn we choose, whether we go slowly or fast. Chains appear when we kneel in front of the map, not daring to walk. The door appears when we hold the map in hand, know the direction, and courageously move forward. Taoists teach that fate does not dictate, fate only suggests, and actions are decisive. Tao and destiny in balance. Destiny is the foundation, Tao is the application. People who only know their destiny will be passive. Living people who only talk about religion but ignore destiny are ambiguous. Balance lies in understanding destiny to cultivate the path. When we know our fate is weak, instead of complaining about ourselves and blaming our fate, we learn to train our minds, live simply, and put character first. When we know we are destined to be strong, instead of being arrogant, we know how to be restrained and humble so that our strength does not turn into disaster. It is the combination of fate and religion. Fear of fate is self-destruction. People are often afraid of the unknown. When I hear someone predict that my luck is bad or prone to disaster, I immediately feel constant worry. It is this anxiety that causes confusion in the mind and wrong actions. From there the real disaster came. Thus fate does not chain us, but the fear of fate does chain us. If we replace fear with understanding, with a calm mind, we will see that we are just a signpost. How I go is still up to me. The 8 characters are like a lamp in the night. Life is sometimes like a road in the dark. The 8 characters are like a lamp illuminating the road ahead. The confused person sees the light and sits still. Don't dare go. The wise person picks up the lamp, walks slowly, avoids the deep hole, and finds the way. So does the lamp bind anyone? No, it's just lighting. Chains or freedom lies entirely in how we use that light. Taoists believe in the concept of transformation. Taoists never consider destiny as immutable. Taoists say that all things are always in motion, and when they reach their climax, they will transform. A person with many evil stars can also be cured through cultivation. People with many lucky stars can also lose them because of pride. The 8 characters only record the initial moment, but after that the flow continuously changes. Those who understand this will see the 8 characters as the gateway to the art of self-transformation. Stories of people who know prose. In history there are many proofs. There are people who are inherently poor, but thanks to hard work and study, thanks to living in good land, they eventually become talented people. There are also people who are destined to be rich, but because they let their desires go, their home ends up ruined. If the 8 characters are chains, why do such transformations occur? It can only be explained that fate is the root, and how the branches and fruits turn out depends on how people take care of them. Freedom in perception. Freedom does not mean not having destiny. but knowing clearly about destiny and not being forced by destiny. But people who know that they are quick-tempered should practice calmness.
People who know that they easily fall into greed learn to let go.
It is through that awareness that freedom appears. Without awareness, people live in ignorance. Realizing, people have choices. It is the transition from chains to doors. Destiny is like water. Morality is like a boat. The water can flow fast, or it can be calm. The boat cannot change direction but can steer. If you sit still, the boat will be swept away.
If steered skillfully, the boat can take advantage of the water's power to travel far.
That is the image of destiny and morality. Weak people see water as chains. Strong people see water as a support. It all depends on knowing how to climb and steer or not. Impermanence and lessons from the 8 characters.
One of the most important things that the 8 characters teach us is impermanence.
Destiny never stands still. Evil can become sand, sand can become evil. The person who only looks at one moment and thinks that everything is determined is the person who does not understand the rules. Thanks to impermanence, we have the opportunity to transform. Thanks to impermanence, the chains of fate do not really exist. People who follow the path are people who know how to use impermanence as motivation, knowing that every day can change.
8 characters in the journey of cultivation.
When reflecting on the 8 characters, the practitioner does not stop at predicting the future. They see it as a suggestion to cultivate themselves, their families, and behave naturally. People who see a lack of wood in their destiny will plant trees and nurture the heart of death. People who see that their destiny is lacking must practice courage and learn to be decisive. That process of cultivation is the journey from destiny to religion, no longer being bound by chains, but turning destiny into a stepping stone to rise up. Tao is the salvation of destiny. If we only stop at fate, people will forever struggle to calculate wins and losses. If one enters the religion, one will be truly free. Tao helps us look at destiny with a peaceful mind. Know how to obey when it's favorable. Know how to be patient when it's against. Tao helps us not to be too happy when we encounter bad things, not too sad when we encounter bad things. No. Because understand that everything is just a flow, and the mind is the root.
Then the 8 characters become the door, opening up wisdom and freedom.
Conclusion. An example to understand, not a chain to fear.
The 8 characters do not imprison anyone, it only enlightens. Those who know how to look can see the way. Those who don't know can draw their own chains. In the end, the problem does not lie in the number, but in the mind of the person facing that number. People with religion consider fate to understand, to obey, and to cultivate. Ignorant people see fate as a binding chain. Taoism teaches that people are not born to fear fate, but to use fate as a mirror to reflect the journey back to religion. So together we have gone through the journey of discovering the 8 characters, to realize that destiny is not a chain that imprisons us, but a mirror that helps us understand ourselves and follow the religion. But the 8 characters are as deep as the ocean. Each person looking at them has a different perception. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Please leave a comment below to discuss, share, and illuminate the mystical path. If you find this video useful, don't forget to subscribe to the Mystic Philosophy channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on the hidden knowledge that we will unlock together. See you again in the next videos, where we continue our journey to find the roots of righteousness and understand the divine plan in every breath of life.